Hi everybody and welcome to Beyond Politics. Today we'll be talking about an important change to South African ID documents. And before we get started, I just want to give a little bit of context. Let's just remind everybody why government exists or why government existed back then. Now it's a different story. Government's there to serve the people, to serve the individual needs of a community or a nation, depending on what level you're at. And unfortunately, we've reached a point where government is far more powerful than the individual. But if you believe in freedom, if you believe in individual liberty, which I believe most people that are subscribed to this channel do, then you believe that government should not be any more powerful than the individual. And that is a very important principle to remain free. Unfortunately, with all the changes taking place, which we'll be discussing in this video, the government is providing the way for large multinational corporations to have complete control over every facet of our lives through the digitization of everything.
And we will actually talk about three different instances where this is the case. And the Green ID book coming to an end, and we'll speak about that just now, is one of those examples where the Deputy Minister of Home Affairs actually said that by the end of 2025, all Green ID books will be invalid. Now, many people in South Africa still have Green ID books, including yourself.
And I'm not going to give it up.
Yeah, I got a smart ID card in 2016, and there's no chip or anything in it. It's difficult to defraud the smart ID card. It's very easy to use in your wallet, etc. So I don't have anything per se against it. But maybe the new ID cards coming out might have a chip contained in it or various other ways of being able to track it. And that raises concerns. So the moment a government has power over monitoring, tracking and tracing your whereabouts, you should be concerned. As Lauren said, governments don't serve the interests of the peoples anymore. They have become a large corporation unto themselves. In fact, in South Africa, they consume 60% of the tax base.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I despise government control. And that's what we're sitting with here. So the Deputy Minister said green books will be phased out by the end of the year, and then the actual minister, who knows who the Minister of Home Affairs is and who knows what party he belongs to, just for everyone that was like, oh, don't vote for a smaller party, it's a wasted vote, kind of vibe.
Leon Schreiber is now the Minister for Home Affairs, and he has come out and he's actually said, no, the Deputy Minister is wrong, or he's just trying to backtrack and say there is no date like the end of 2025. He says there will be an announcement. That could be sooner, in other words. And people don't read between the lines. You know, people say, oh, don't be worried. He says there will be an announcement.
At the end of the day, he's the minister and he's made it a priority to phase out the green ID books, meaning that they won't be considered legitimate anymore after a specific date, and only the cards will be rolled out.
So I ask myself, and before I hand over to you, the day this green ID book becomes illegitimate, do you cease to be a South African citizen? Are they going to deport you to where? These people are insane. They cannot think beyond the left two brain cells in their minds that is trying to come up with this nonsense, because they do not comprehend what they are saying. The media blabbering out this nonsense, the people interviewing them with their one brain cell, because otherwise they would be the politician, right? Cannot ask proper questions. Like, what do you become when your green ID book is no longer valid? Are you now a criminal? Are you a foreigner in the country? It's absolute nonsense. And even our fraught constitution will protect you under those conditions.
So I'm sure there's many people sitting there thinking, you know, what's the problem? It's just going to be more convenient. Let's just move to this digital landscape. But it changes the power dynamic between citizen and government. As long as you have a green barcoded ID and the freedom to keep that, then you still have a semblance of power between you and the government. But as soon as everything becomes digital, imagine that it's phased out, and we'll go into the driver's license cards as well. There's been a big stink over the driver's license cards for ages because of issues within the department, probably tenderizing going on and all the rest. But the idea is that eventually your driver's license card will be a QR code on your phone, although the department is saying that they will give you the option to have the actual physical card as well, the option for now. What happens when phones don't work? What happens when your battery dies?
I think they're stressing over the money they won't be getting because it's just a money-making racket.
Yeah.
Our driver's licenses remain valid forever, whether you have the card or not. If you have the card on you and it's an expired card like mine, they still have to say that you have a driver's license because you have valid proof. And these cards don't just go to waste because they are laminated, a hard form of laminate. And because of that, even my outdated card still proves that I have a valid driver's license. And the problem is that they haven't applied laws properly to say that every 2 or 3 years you must go, have your eyes tested, have this and that done to maintain your driver's license. No. So our laws do not stick to what the card does, and they profit off of these cards. So the moment it goes onto a phone, I wonder if they're going to want you to pay for the app to actually prove that you have a driver's license.
So this is the irony. As much as the country is trying to roll out digitizing everything within this department, they're stalling because the digital drivers, like the EDL, the e-driver's license, is actually going to take away revenue from the government, and so they're stalling. That's at least one theory. And then finally, another step towards more control is that SIM cards now are going to be replaced, or not SIM cards, phones are going to be replaced with embedded SIM card phones. So your SIM will be embedded into your phone. You won't be able to take your SIM out of your phone.
Just like the battery, where you could actually shut it down.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, even if your phone is switched off, AI is still monitoring, tracking, and tracing your every move, everything you say. The camera is watching, whether you like it or not. And most of you have approved apps that allow that. If you actually read what the app says, it gives you permission. You can give the app permission to actually check all your files on PC. Photos, videos, voice messages, emails, access to all your contacts. And a lot of people give this without knowing because they don't read the fine print.
So I think this embedded SIM card phone trend is going to increase in popularity. They say they're quite expensive at the moment, but the article says, we'll put all the links to the articles in the description. The article says that it's going to be made more accessible. More phones will have embedded SIMs. You can get a second-hand one for about 4,000 Rand. And the SIM card phones will be, I suppose, phased out. And the draw card is that if you do get an embedded SIM, you're going to get mobile plans or have access to mobile plans. We'll get free data or free airtime.
At the moment, you can take your SIM out and throw it away. And if your phone's being tracked, no one will actually know who is with that phone because you can only be tracked via your SIM card. If they're tracking a specific phone, if it's stolen, they will be able to find the phone, but not necessarily you. So if the government wants to monitor, track, and trace you, these phone cards with an embedded SIM is a perfect way for them to know exactly where you are. Think missile strike.
And lastly, just to round all of this off, the United Nations believes that it is every human being's right to have legal identity, to have a recognized legal identity. And a lot of you might be thinking, yeah, that makes sense. But no, I disagree. You should have a right to completely cut yourself off from whatever system or whatever country you live in. You have the right to be a free and sovereign citizen. But that does not exist in the world. The narrative is the complete opposite of that. So the United Nations, along with a number of their subsidiaries, have a goal that by 2025, and here we're in 2025, to register 300 million, not register, sorry, but help 300 million people get a legal identification in their country.
Well, 300 million people might not sound a lot when you're actually looking at the fact that there's over 8 billion people in the world. But think about this. 300 million people processed in 1 year. This is what you need to look at. What kind of infrastructure do you need? How big is that drive? And see how quickly you will actually be able to implement that within the world with these eye scanning balls and all sorts of things they're using in Africa now. To give you digital identities. And digital identities will take a different shape in future. So the transfer to the smart cards is the first thing. It's a smart card. It's not fully digital, although you can scan it, it's got a barcode, etc. Your green ID book also has a barcode. But the moment that has got a chip embedded in it, or they start accepting a chip in your skin or anything like that, that is when the landscape changes really fast. And my concern is always monitoring, tracking, and tracing. And as Lauren said earlier, the more freedom we have as citizens, the better. Because at the moment, government has power over us. And this is in their mind. We actually have the power over government. Government does not have the right to use the military against its citizens or the police against its citizens because we pay for that. So the citizens of any country can remove a government quick. And I actually put out a tweet this morning where I asked, is a government still legitimate in the so-called democratic process if more than half of the eligible people to vote within that process choose not to vote?
And on that topic, with everything that's going on with these 3 articles that we've spoken about, as well as the UN's plans, I'm pretty convinced by 2029 there'll probably be a hybrid electronic voting system.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Where we'll vote electronically.
Everywhere. Yeah, I believe that our electoral commission is already looking at ways of doing that. And the moment that happens, anything is possible. How legitimate is voting still? If it's not on a piece of paper that can be counted openly in front of the public. And that's what I believe should be done. They should literally have the public standing around, open up the ballots on the tables, and then count them. And then you will actually know that you've had a voice. And at the moment in the world, that is not very certain because it is going a digital route. And we know how digital can be manipulated. So I believe that your identity will be able to be stolen, even with a smart ID card. It's not just about someone showing your identity somewhere, but using all your specifications for transactions on the internet, etc., and billing it to your bank account and all sorts of things. And I'm sure that the crooks of the world will just create more crime that'll drive governments to digitize more things in the name of safety when they have created the problem themselves.
Thank you so much for watching. Please remember that we have a website now. You can look at everything that we have to offer, our workshops, our free citizen empowerment training. I think that's very important. So many of you in the comments who are new to this channel ask, what are your solutions? Well, we have various, and citizens empowerment training is a start. So you can go to beyondpolitics.co.za to get more information. Thank you so much for watching, and look out for the links to everything we've covered in the description.